Hey guys, we are on video 5 of a video series on game theory. Really quickly, what I want to do in this video 5 is recap the first 4 videos. Video 1 focused on a key element, a key concept of game theory, something we really want to embrace as we start focusing on this branch of economics, and it was this, that when we study any game, and if we're a part of a game, we especially want to do what I'm about to say. What we want to do is put ourselves in the shoes of every player in the game and see the world through their eyes. We want to see their payoffs through their eyes. Basically see their strategies and their payoffs, okay? Really important element of game theory. Video 2, we focus on just what are the key elements of all games. There's 3 key elements. All games have players, they have strategies, and they have payouts, or payoffs, if you will, okay? So 3 elements of all games. Video 3, we looked at dominant strategies. Now, not all games do we have dominant strategies, okay? And dominant strategies we associate with individual players. You know, does this player have a dominant strategy? Does that player have a dominant strategy? And so what is a dominant strategy? It is a situation where a player has a strategy that yields a superior result regardless of the strategy the other player played. Video 4, we looked at Nash Equilibrium. And with Nash Equilibrium, we're studying outcomes. And we're basically saying, okay, for any given outcome, does either player have an incentive to change their strategy from the strategy they played to get to that outcome? Do they have an incentive to change their strategy given the strategy the other player played to get to that outcome? Again, Nash Equilibriums, we start with outcomes and we examine the outcome to see if it is a Nash Equilibrium. Now this is video 5, and in this one we're putting game theory in action, okay? So we're going to check out for dominant strategies, and then we're also going to see if there's a Nash Equilibrium, and hey, we might have to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. So here's the deal. We got Nike, we got New Balance. Those are our 2 players in the game, right? So there we go, we got our players. Strategies. New Balance. They can lower their price, we're going to say by 10%, or don't lower their price. So just 2 strategies right now. Nike, same 2 strategies. They can lower their price by 10% or not lower their price, okay? So these are the strategies our players are looking at. And now we've got the payoff matrix. And what do firms care about the most? Well, profits. So all of these are profits. So this is a proper payoff matrix. Revenues are generally not the best thing to put in the payoff matrix because businesses are not revenue maximizers, right? They are profit maximizers. So we're going to assume these are profits in this payoff matrix, all right? So right there, we're ready to get going. What we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, does New Balance have a dominant strategy? So hopefully you remember kind of how to do this. I'm going to go through it kind of fast. So here it goes. Does New Balance have a dominant strategy? What I do is I go to Nike and I say, hey, if Nike played lower price by 10%, right? So if Nike played this strategy, what would be best for New Balance? To lower their price by 10% or not lower their price? Well, if they lower their price by 10%, $2 billion in profits. If they don't lower their price, $1 billion in profits. Pretty simple, guys. They should lower their price by 10%. Now, I'm not done. Again, I'm examining New Balance. I go back to Nike and I say, how about if Nike played don't lower price? Like, don't lower price. What would be best for New Balance? Well, if they lowered the price by 10%, $3 billion in profits. If they don't lower their price, $4 billion in profits. Okay, now notice this. A check here with lower price by 10% and a check here with don't lower price. No dominant strategy. That's right. New Balance does not have a dominant strategy. Now, let's go to Nike. We're examining Nike, so what do? We go to New Balance, and we say, okay, if New Balance played lower price, right? If they played lower price by 10%, what should Nike do? Not lower their price, $4 billion in profits, or lower their price by 10%, $8 billion in profits. Pretty simple, right? Check. $8 billion in profits, so they should lower their price. Again, I'm examining Nike. I go back to New Balance, and I say, hey, how about if New Balance played don't lower price, right? Don't lower price. What should Nike do? Should they not lower the price, get $8 billion in profit, or lower the price by 10% and get $10 billion in profit? Check. Take a look at this. Check, check. Lower price 10%. Nike does have a dominant strategy. So, dominant strategy. So we've got a game in which one player, New Balance, does not have a dominant strategy, and the other player, Nike, does. Okay, so where do we go from here? Well, guys, first rule of game theory is always play your dominant strategy, okay? So we can pretty much assume Nike, playing their own self-interest, is going to play lower price by 10%. So what should New Balance do? Well, you kind of saw it coming, right? New Balance should put themselves in Nike's shoes. Now, I know that probably upset a few New Balance fans out there, but anyhow, it was a corny joke, but whatever, right? New Balance puts themselves in Nike's shoes and see the world through their eyes. And they say, hey, if I look at the world through Nike's eyes, it's a no-brainer. They're going to lower price. And so I can assume Nike's going to lower price. With that understanding, New Balance just needs to say, okay, what should I do given that I can assume Nike's going to lower price? So what's my better option? Lower price, $2 billion. Don't lower price, $1 billion. Pretty simple. Given that I pretty much know Nike's probably going to go with their self-interest, play their dominant strategy. First rule of game theory, always play your dominant strategy. They're going to go this direction. New Balance says, I'm going to play this one. And we're going to end up right there, okay? So that's the first part of analyzing this game. The next thing is, let's see if that's a Nash equilibrium. Now, again, I'm going to do a little spoiler alert. Yes, it is. So in any game in which one player has a dominant strategy and then the other player takes that into account in making their decisions that the other player is going to play that dominant strategy, that cell that you're going to land on, that outcome you're going to have, is going to be a Nash equilibrium. But we want to kind of, go through this. We want to practice our skills of finding out if it's a Nash equilibrium. So let's go to it, okay? So given this outcome, again, how do we get to this outcome? New Balance plays lower price, Nike plays lower price. That's how we get here. Given that, does either player have an incentive to change their strategy given the strategy the other player played to get to that outcome? So let's do it this way. Given that Nike played lower price, does New Balance have an incentive to switch over to not lowering the price? So $2 billion to $1 billion? No. The answer is no, they do not have an incentive to do that. Given that New Balance played lower price to get this outcome, does Nike have an incentive to switch from lower price to don't lower price, right? $8 billion to $4 billion. The answer is, again, no. What did two no's mean? Two no's mean it's a Nash equilibrium. So there we go. We have found out that that's a Nash equilibrium. And go ahead and tell you, none of these are going to be Nash equilibriums. Let's go ahead and examine at least one of them. Let's go do this one right here, okay? So how did we get to this outcome? New Balance played lower price. Nike did not lower the price, okay? Given that, does either one have an incentive to change their strategy given the strategy the other player played to get to that outcome? So does New Balance have an incentive to switch over to don't lower price, which would take them from $3 billion to $4 billion? The answer is yes, they do. As soon as you get a yes, nope, not a Nash equilibrium. Really quickly here, all right, how do we get here? These two strategies. Does New Balance have an incentive to switch over to here? Yes, they do. Not a Nash equilibrium. And then right over here, how do we get there? Neither one lowered their price. Does either one of them have an incentive to switch strategies? We can start with either one. Given that New Balance played don't lower price, does Nike have an incentive? Oh yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Anytime you get a yes on either question you're going to ask yourself, if you get that yes, it is not a Nash equilibrium. Boom, there's the Nash equilibrium. Now again, I don't think Nash equilibrium is looking like the most powerful concept to people who have been watching this video series, but it is a very powerful concept. It's just, hey, if both players have a dominant strategy, it's really simple. It's the intersection of those dominant strategies. If one player has a dominant strategy, if we assume the other player looks at the world through their eyes and sees that dominant strategy and takes that into account in deciding their strategy and then goes with the best strategy for them, given the other player playing their dominant strategy, that's going to be a Nash equilibrium. But again, sometimes we're not going to have dominant strategies and we can still have Nash equilibrium. And sometimes we can have multiple Nash equilibriums or Nash equilibrii. All right, so there you go. That was putting game theory in action. Video 5, video 6 is coming your way. We'll see you there.